So who wants to watch the Tony Robbins Podcast with Sister Shivani? Say I.
Welcome and namaste, world raisers. Sabine and Roger here. Today we celebrate Tony Robbins' birthday. He's very dear to us. We love him very, very much. So we wish him a wonderful day and a long life so he can keep benefiting millions and millions of people.
We're going to watch Embrace Happiness. We've watched Sister Shivani a couple times on this channel now. Yep. We did a guided meditation, and then we watched another podcast, Veer Biceps. So we love her. She's chock full of wisdom. Two great wise souls speaking. Should be good. So let's find out how to embrace more joy and happiness.
Oh,
yes. Might be very personable, but for those of you who want to share, this might be a good space, to share some trauma or things from the past that you're going through. Yeah, and then release it and let go, and then maybe set an intention that you're going to own it and you're going to stop projecting the blame.
Shift from focusing on what you are getting and focus only on what you are giving.
Boom.
Because happiness means to be a giver.
A giver, yes. Healing your subconscious mind.
Our next speaker is coming from India, and she is extraordinary. She's an example in my mind of love and strength. Some people have love but not enough strength to actually break through. Some people are just strength without the love. She uses truth to cut through the BS and bring people to a deeper level. And I think you're going to love her. Her name is Sister Shivani.
Yeah, so cool. That was such a beautiful introduction.
Sister Shivani, it's such a privilege to have you here.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste. Cool.
Namaste.
Sage, love that too.
Om Shanti and greetings of peace, love and happiness from India. First and foremost, I must thank each one of you for coming together just so that you can raise your internal vibration. Because when you come together like this, introspect, reflect, take personal responsibility, and create a shift. When you create a shift within, you're not creating a shift just within. You are creating a shift in the collective consciousness of the planet. Like the room where you are right now, it's vibrating with the energy, which is the energy of each one of your minds. Similarly, the world, the planet, for the last 2 years has been vibrating with fear and anxiety. And that fear and anxiety has taken a toll on millions of minds. We all knew about the virus pandemic, but there was another pandemic going on for over 2 years, and that was fear and anxiety spreading very fast all over the planet. And now, when you come together like this to release not just fear of 2 years, but release fear, release guilt, release any uncomfortable emotion you've been holding on to, probably since childhood, sometimes from even before that. And when we release any uncomfortable emotion, we raise our vibration. And when we raise our vibration, we're radiating a higher vibration into the energy of the planet, not just the energy of the room where you are, not just the energy of the country where you are, but into the energy of the planet, and thereby shift the vibration of the planet. And this higher vibration is going to touch someone somewhere, and they're going to feel better. And they won't know why they are feeling better, why they are feeling lighter, from where are they experiencing this strength which has come to them, but it's traveled from you into that consciousness of the planet. So really, 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 thank you to each one of you for taking out this time to create a shift in the world.
You guys
Let's take a minute of silence. It's been a very interesting day for you. I heard about it, and I saw you right now very energetic, very vibrant, very excited. And now the human mind has the power to shift from being excited and energetic to suddenly going into deep silence, absolute silence. So just take a minute. It's just for a minute. Close your eyes if you want. If you want to keep it open, it's fine. Just take this minute for yourself to shift your attention from everything that you see, to shift your attention to what cannot be seen, but what can be felt. And that is our feelings. Happiness is my nature. Happiness is who I am. Happiness and love is what I radiate to everyone. I am a happy being. I am a loveful soul. Powerful and divine. Let me just check in any corner of my mind, or even deep layers of my subconscious. Do I still hold any person, past of my life, anything which I still believe is the cause of my emotional hurt? Scan the mind. Check. It could be recent. It could be very old. It could be brushed aside, but it's still there deep. Is there anything I still believe is the cause of any kind of emotional pain? Something that happened, something that someone was responsible for. A mistake they made, or a mistake I made. Do I still, in a very subtle way, still blame someone for my hurt, for the rejection I feel, or the insult I experienced? And today, I'm certain that I'm going to release them from my mind and shift them from not a painful past, but from a present and a future full of love and blessings. Because I am a powerful being. What I feel is not because of what they did. What I feel is because of what I think about what they did. my feelings are not about them. It's about how I choose to think about them. And I choose forgiveness. I choose acceptance. I choose love, because that is truly my nature. It's who I am. It's the vibration at which I live my life. Because that's where true happiness is. Thank you so much. And you can gently come back into the present, keeping the vibration the same, and just reflecting. The only one thing that we need to be happy always. Happy, we all are, but the word to be underlined is always. Always.
Yes.
And always means when situations are not favorable, when people are not my way, and when people are completely opposite to what I expected them to be, and when someone does something which I never ever imagined could happen with me. So irrespective of what situations and people, the energy that they throw towards me, I only need to remember that their power is outside. Their power is outside. People have the power to say what they believe is right. People have the power to do what they believe is right. And we have the power to think what we believe is right. So the only one thing that we need to shift today is shift from a life of blame to a life of personal responsibility. And blame not only in these specific situations, but we live a life of blame often during the day. If someone had to ask us right now, who is the creator of your thoughts and feelings? It wouldn't even take a second, and we would say, obviously, it's me. I create my every thought, my feeling. Who's that I? That I is the energy, which we call light, power, consciousness, soul, spirit. Words are many. Important is the understanding. I am this energy, the creator of every thought, feeling, and emotion. It's something that I need to affirm many, many times in the day. I am the creator of my every thought, feeling, word, and behavior. I am the creator. And then gently shift my mind to a different vocabulary. So instead of saying, I'm stressed because of, I'm upset because of, I'm happy because of, I'm angry because of, I'm hurt because of, all the because of has to fall off. Because it's not because of anybody. I am what I am because I choose to be that way. Yes, the stimulus is there. Sometimes it's a very beautiful, pleasant stimulus, and sometimes the opposite. But I choose how to be in the face of that stimulus. It sounds very simple because it is very simple. And right now, we understand it, we accept it, we live it. But we need to live it in those situations during the day where our mind is speaking this old vocabulary. I'm feeling like this because of. I only need to change this line. Even saying something like, the first thing that I need when I wake up is my cup of coffee. Fine, have your cup of coffee. But change the vocabulary which says, I cannot live without my morning cup of coffee.
Yes.
That line makes me dependent on a cup of coffee. I choose to have a cup of coffee. I cannot say I cannot live without my morning coffee. See the difference in the vocabulary. One makes me a master and the other makes me dependent on that cup of coffee. Then it's no more a cup of coffee after that. And I will have something else for which I will say, I cannot live without this. I cannot do without this. Every time I'm using this vocabulary, I'm saying my mind is dependent on situations, people, objects, substances. And that is what makes me a victim. A victim where my happiness, my love, my peace, my power is not mine. It's dependent. Because I've said it so many times during the day, I'm dependent, I'm dependent. So just one shift today, just one shift is going to shift everything else. Just from today, very subtle. Even if you say it, stop it and say it again.
Yeah.
I choose to do this. Not I cannot live without this.
Yes.
I cannot do without this. No, I am a master. I am the master of my mind. I am the master of my sense organs, and I choose what to do. Once we start practicing this, it will become a natural way of living.
Practice it.
It become a natural way of living.
Do
Then
it.
we take it to the next level. I create the stress that I'm experiencing right now. It's not work stress. It's not relationship stress. It's not travel stress. It is I create the stress.
YouTube channel
Work,
stress.
relationship, travel, exams, these are pressures. So again, keeping the simple formula with you, stress is equal to pressure divided by resilience. We used to learn this in school. Stress is equal to pressure divided by resilience. Pressure is not in my control. Pressure could be a behavior, pressure could be the weather, pressure could be COVID, pressure could be the current situations in the world, pressure could even be the health of my body, because it's my body, again, outside to who I am. I am the being, this is my body. So pressure, which means challenge in life, sometimes could be the health of my body. But we cannot say, because I'm not healthy, I'm not happy. No, it's not matter over mind. It is mind over matter. Body may be unwell. Body may be experiencing a terminal illness. And I can be calm and happy because my mind is not dependent on my body. This is the truth. This is a reality. And we've seen everyone around us. Many of you must have met someone who's going through a chronic ailment and yet very light, vibrant, happy. And someone could just have a little cold, cough, fever, and they say, oh, I'm not well, what to do, horrible day, bitter experience. They can blame just a little cold for not being happy that day. People open the windows in the morning and say, the weather is so depressive. You can't say that. Then I'm saying I'm feeling low and gloomy because of the weather. This is very subtle, but it's become our vocabulary.
Yeah.
And the more we speak that way, the more the mind becomes dependent. So what is happiness? Happiness means being emotionally independent. Emotionally independent. Physical independence, social independence, financial independence, emotional independence. That is power. Emotional independence is power, which means I am emotionally independent, calm in a crisis, loveful when someone is in pain and not behaving the right way with me, respectful and radiating blessings when someone could be using abusive language because they are emotionally unwell right now. When someone is not in their right behavior, we need to remember they are not doing this to us. They're only showing us their state of mind at the moment. They're just showing us that they are emotionally in pain. And so their words, their behavior, their energy, it reflects their pain. Their pain could be just as words, and sometimes it could be more than that. Recently, a young sister, about 30, 35 years old, she came to learn meditation at this center. And she was sitting in the meditation room, and when she walked out, she just said, I've released something that I've held on to for almost 30 years. I said, what happened? And then she shared that she had gone through an experience when she was 5 years old. Her parents had left the house with her uncle. She was 5 years old that time, and she experienced abuse. And now she was about 35, and she said, you know what? 35 years I have hated people. I can't trust people. She chose not to get married, not to be in a relationship. And she said, I can't trust anybody. And she said, I don't even trust my parents, actually. And she said, I've not had a very good relationship with them for 30 years. And she said, while I was sitting and contemplating what we have studied today, she said, I just realized that what I experienced 30 years back was somebody else's mistake. But all that they could do was to my body, which was horrible. But you know, what did I do for 30 years to myself? She said, I held on to hatred for 30 years. I held on to doubt and insecurity for 30 years. She said, what they did was bad, but I think what I did to myself was completely my choice. And today, she said, today I release. I just release what I've held on to, because I realize what I've held on to is not what they did. What they did was to my body, but what I held on to was my creation. And I'm not going to live in hurt and pain anymore. That's all. It was just that 1 minute of a realization. And that doesn't mean what the other person did was right, not at all. But what it just means is what I was creating here was my choice. What they did was not in my control at that age. But what I did for 30 years was completely my choice. And I chose to create hatred. And she changed her vocabulary immediately. She said, I chose to create hatred. Before that, she was saying, people are horrible. See the shift in the vocabulary. I chose hatred. She said, I chose not to forgive. She said, I chose not to like my parents and blame them for what happened. And then, when she started this healing with herself, and healing was just an understanding, her relationships with her parents changed, because she had released that emotional blockage which she had held up to for so long. And when she did that, she suddenly shifted towards being happy. Earlier, she was doing everything the normal way, working. She's not innately happy, because I cannot be happy when I've held on to something there in my subconscious. I just cannot be happy. So it's a very fundamental thing. I think we should have been taught this when we were in kindergarten. It's very fundamental.
Yes.
That people can be here,
Please teach
they can
it.
cheat, they can betray, they can abuse, they can use wrong language. But that's because they are emotionally unwell. It's because they are going through something very turbulent inside them. But my thought and feeling, my emotion is my choice. It's my creation. And I choose to be empathetic. I choose to be compassionate. And in most cases, I choose to even forgive.
Perfect.
Oh, wow. This is a must watch.
So good. Yeah.
This is a must watch. This is one of the best videos we've seen in a while.
Long
This
time.
is-
We're talking about practical spirituality here, right? How to undo, trauma and certain underlying habitual tendencies that become, overgrown and entangled. And like she nailed it when she said that this should be taught in kindergarten, because that's the thing, right? So we don't know. So I love this story. Yeah, it's tragic, but what happened, to the lady for, 30 years of just having this hate because of a horrible incident when she was 5. Yeah, and she's holding on to that and creating that in her mind, that unhappiness and then the hate for others and then, blaming, projecting it outwards. But at the same time, she's still innocent in the way that we don't know. We don't know how to deal with this stuff, right? So it's about letting go of blame, everywhere, even the blame that we can even place on ourselves at that point when we have the realization that, I'm ultimately responsible, but you can see it then, and then taking full responsibility and having an understanding of karma, you can even say that, okay, well, that was also my karma to suffer for 30 years. And then when you can come out of it, then it's like a huge purification, a big weight. And then it's about maintaining it, because these lingering tendencies, they're not just going to go away, right? It's still going to take effort, right? So you got to change your thought, change your vocabulary, change your mind state, stop projecting outwards, and then maintain that, right? So our happiness is entirely, in our control if we can do that, right? So that's why the teachings of like being in the present moment are, so important to having that happiness, right? So you're letting go of the past, right? And then having that forgiveness. So even people doing horrible things in the world, so that forgiveness comes about easier when we understand, ignorance, right? So we're embodied beings, and then we forget our spiritual nature. We don't know about, karma, the ultimate reality, that we're one. There's one infinite field of consciousness. These are things that normal people in this world, they just don't know, right? Because we're taught that we're material, physical beings, right? It's still a big part of the school system is that consciousness comes from the brain. So we're material, right? So not until you begin the spiritual journey do you start to realize that, okay, well, we're spiritual. There's more things going on here. And then that understanding of ignorance. So people who don't know that are ignorant. People like an uncle, babysitting a child, who's spiritual in nature and understands there's no way that he's going to even consider doing anything horrible, because it totally ruins a childhood. And, think about it, right? This girl held on to this trauma for 30 years and just hating everything due to this one incident. And so that karma is also, on the man, obviously, but in the sense it can be forgiven due to ignorance, right? Because we're not living in a world now where spirituality is taught at a young age. And hopefully things can change, right? With more spirituality becoming more mainstream, right? So Raise the World Project now. And I love coming across teachers that are talking about consciousness and the infinite field of consciousness so openly. Satguru does it. Sister Shivani does it as well.
Tony Robbins hints at it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, right? My first teacher, Dr. David R. Hawkins, he was all about that. That's what's happening. That's what it is, right? So it's an infinite mind. All the spiritual teachings, teach that we're one field, right? It's vibrating energy. Everything's arising from one source. And we're all part of it, right? Yeah, we have individuated, experiences when we're manifest. So Sabine got a little emotional.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it came from. But of course I had to think of someone who is very dear to me, who is going through the exact thing now. And I hope she's gonna watch it. Gonna send her this video. Must watch. And it's a must watch for everybody.
Yeah.
So many people are still holding on. So many people just simply also don't know. Like, why am I so angry? Why don't I like anybody? Like, why do I not feel connected to people? Why do I think like I'm this own thing, like separate from everybody, and just playing video games or whatever? It's like people just don't know like what the potential is, like the true potential, and that trauma and all these stuck energies and the negative lower states can be healed.
Yeah, and it's up to the spiritual people. Like if you guys watching this right now, we need to embrace that, because if we don't, then who will, right? So we've been relying on, in a way, religions for generations, thinking that, religions were going to save the world, but they can't get along, right? So it's stagnated, right? And this is just true. It's to the point where all we want to do is bicker and talk about the ultimate instead of actually realizing it. So, so spirituality needs to take over, and that's what's happening in the sense that religious people can become spiritual, but there is a difference there. Just because you're religious doesn't mean that you're advancing spiritually, right? And then when you do that, then you realize with more understanding of ultimate truth and reality and what's really happening in this existence, right? Then you take it on. You're like, okay, well, now I know. And then there's a responsibility there that we actually need to practice the teachings and we need to maintain our vibration and our happiness. Because if we don't, we're not just letting ourselves down, we're letting others down as well.
Absolutely.
So like she said, it's like by raising your vibration, you're helping somebody else somewhere else in the world be happy. They don't even know where it's coming from.
Boom. Ach, I loved every word, everything she said. It was so spot on and so timely. Wow, just imagine what incredible beings are on this planet, right? Like what teachings we have actually access to. Like right there. The most precious and so much love in, you know, in her heart, the way she speaks, what she transmits. You could just like fall into that energy. Yeah. We need more
So
beings
good.
like this, like her, like Tony Robbins, like Sadhguru, like Bentinho, like David Hawkins, anybody that really has an understanding of the higher truth and the love and compassion for the world to actually put themselves out there and teach and share. Yeah. So, you know, if you have that longing to share something, do it. Step up your game. The world needs you. The world really, really needs you.
Yeah, and then it's by example. So that's the biggest thing, is to lead by example. Is like, so your friends and your family and your inner circle, right? They'll notice a shift and a change in you, and then you radiate that, and then you set an example.
A thought just crossed my mind. You know, because some people, like, they literally can't, they don't feel connected to other humans. So it's like, ugh, I don't like humans, but I do like animals. And so just imagine you radiating love and, you know, you're on a higher level of consciousness than usual, not running around blaming and being a victim all the time. But you're actually on a higher level and you radiate that into the world, and that actually helps people who are abusing animals to be more kind and loving. And so that might stop then. If you don't want to do it for other human beings, not even your partner or your parents, then just think about the animals. Like, you truly benefit them. You truly, truly benefit them by stepping up your game, because it will step up everybody's game.
And when she's talking about a
cute.
shift, you know, that's what it is. So we're thinking about, so right now the earth is, you know, vibrating at this level where we think we're material beings and we're depleting, you know, our resources and, you know, nature, and then just thinking that it's external to us and then it's not important and we just need to take what we can get and all of this. So that's one thing. But when you shift to a higher level of consciousness that's more all-encompassing and inclusive, then you're shifting for everybody. Your shift is part of the whole, and then that creates, it's going to create a new world where we're more in harmony with nature, and of course caring for animals and everything goes along with that. Shift needs to happen, and spiritual teachers have been talking about a shift for years now. Global awakening is happening, but it's not going to happen if we don't do it. Right? If the spiritual people who are interested, because it's one thing to download a whole bunch of intellectual information and then, but still hold on to your resentments and don't ever get over anything, then that's still not helping, right? So you can claim you're spiritual, but unless you're happy, right? I think the happiness is the good indicator. It's like,
joy.
Are you happy, or are you holding on to hate?
Or are you happy just in certain circumstances? Or always, like she said, always. That's the thing. It's like, do you love people or just certain people?
Yeah.
Like,
so we got to own it, right? We're responsible for our thoughts and our happiness, our emotions, right? It's not to say that they're not conventionally existent. We still have to deal with them, right? And then that's that mindfulness comes in, where you're on guard, right?
Yes.
We can do it, people. Yeah. Make an oath.
Make an oath. I'm gonna liberate this being.
For the benefit
For the benefit of all.
of all sentient beings. So this is fantastic. We were planning on just watching a little bit of it, so that'll be this video,
Yes.
but we're definitely going to come back. I think we need to finish this.
This is a must. And it was so cute. Tony Robbins was sitting there doing the meditation. We were meditating with him.
Cool, yeah.
Oh, he's... Oh.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know about our connection to Tony Robbins, we've done not one, but 2 UPW events. We did them during the whole COVID thing, so that really sparked us and got us going. I don't think Sabina would actually even be sitting here doing reaction videos with me if it wasn't for Tony Robbins.
I know. Everything I visualized during the Tony Robbins events, which was insane because you're in such a high state, there is no fear. Like you're fearless. And so you have these fearless visions of your future. It's like, wow, that you're not able to think that big if you're in a low state. But they make sure you're not in a low state during the Unleash the Power Within events. So then you envision, you dream big. It all happened so far is phenomenal. Anyways, let's pause here.
We're going to pause here, but we're going to come back. For those of you who don't want to wait and they can't wait, if you're into this video and this talk and you don't want to wait for us,
yes, please.
Then we're going to leave the link in the description, so check it out. Finish the video because we're going to cover it eventually on the channel, the rest of it. But this was fantastic. Just this little snippet was pure gold. So if you like it as much as we did, you know what to do. Of course, hit that like button. Of course, subscribe if you haven't already. Yeah, it might be very personable, but for those of you who want to share, this might be a good space, to share some trauma or things from the past that you're going through. Yeah, and then release it and let go, and then maybe set an intention that you're going to own it and you're going to stop projecting the blame and take it on as, okay, well, my karma, who knows what I did previous lifetime, and then just own our experience, right? And then let go, surrender, forgive, and then do some practice. So let us know, and God bless you on your journey, and then may you be well, may you be happy, and may you be free of suffering. Because remember, if we don't do it, who will?
Who will?
We gotta raise the world.
And raise yourself. Be courageous, people. Now is the time.
Yeah.